Hi, I'm Emma Veidt from Backpacker Magazine, and I'm here to tell you what I wish I knew before hiking Mount Whitney. I hiked Mount Whitney last September in 2024, and that was after years and years of trying to score a permit, and finally I had gotten it. It was an amazing experience, but there were still some things I think I would do differently next time, and I definitely want to do it again. So let's get into it. This hike is one of the most sought after hikes in the country, with tens of thousands of people trying to score a permit every year. And they only release about 100 day hiking permits and 60 backpacking permits per day. So it's hard to get one during the hiking season, but getting a permit is only half the battle. The first thing I would do differently if I were to hike Mount Whitney is build in extra time for breaks. When you hike Mount Whitney, you always hear about people leaving so early in the morning, like 1 or 2 in the morning, or even before midnight sometimes. And it might sound crazy to do an alpine start that early, but it is worth it. You want to be before the summit, before potential afternoon storms. When you're going up the steeps, try not to get too out of breath because you are really trying to do this as an endurance event. It is a long day hike if you're day hiking it. One thing that I needed to take a lot of time for was taking pictures. Definitely, every time I made a turn, the view was better than the last. It was one of the most beautiful hikes I've ever done. And I think one of the reasons why I made it to the summit just a little bit later than I wish I wanted to was because I kept pulling out my phone, taking pictures, asking my partner to take a picture of me, wanting to take a picture of him. The hike is meant to be the celebration of all the training. You really want to memorialize it. My next thing that I would do next time is, this is going to sound wrong, but I would bring less water. Now, hear me out. There are a lot of water sources along the way. I wasn't sure what the water state would be like because I did my hike in September. And so I wasn't sure if all the snow runoff had gone or, I wasn't exactly sure. And so I brought all of the water that I thought I would need for the day. And that's a mistake. I wouldn't do that because when you're going up those steeps and the first couple miles are pretty steep, having all that extra weight sloshing around in your backpack, you're going to regret it when you see all of the lakes and streams and potential water sources. It's going to be like, why do I have all this on my back? There are a couple caveats. The first, definitely call the ranger station before your hike because there are rangers who are out there daily and they can give you the most up-to-date information about what the water looks like. If it's looking low, bring more water. But if there's a ton of water, just bring a couple liters and fill up on your way. Also, once you reach the switchbacks, those famous switchbacks that everyone talks about, there are no more water sources until the summit. Prepare to carry all the water you need for all the miles up and all the miles down once you reach the switchbacks, because you don't want to be thirsty when you're making that final push. Speaking of that section, I found the switchbacks to not be the more challenging part of the hike. Trail crest to the summit, honestly, kind of sucked. It was hard, mentally, physically, emotionally. It was mentally really hard because you can see the summit. You can see at the top of the hill where you need to be, and it kind of goes downhill for a while, and you're like, why am I going downhill? I need to go all the way back up. And at that point, you're already at 13,000 feet about. And so, you have to make another 1,500 feet of vert, and you're so tired and you can see the finish line. And make sure that you save enough time in your hike you might have to go half your speed during this section. And that's okay. There are a lot of people who are strangers on the trail relying on each other for support in this section because it's understood once everyone knows when they reach that section, this kind of sucks. But the camaraderie really helps. Another piece of advice I would use if I did this hike again is bring spare batteries. This might sound a little basic, and maybe you already do, but one thing I forgot was to bring spare batteries. I didn't think I needed it for a day hike, Normally I would pack them if I'm doing a backpacking trip or something, but if you are starting your hike at 1 or 2 in the morning, you have several hours of darkness before the sun even rises, and you're using a headlamp during all those hours. If you burn through all of your burning hours before the sun even rises, you have a long day ahead of you. Because sometimes if you're enjoying the hike, taking a really long time, and you're coming down the mountain slowly, if the sun is going to set before you make it back to the car or to the trailhead. So you need a lot of headlamp hours. The hike is challenging at night sometimes because it's hard to see through all the trees, but it's a very clear-cut trail. But so you really just want your headlamp to have all of your awareness around you. My final piece of advice, if I were to do this again, when I did it in September, I day hiked it, I would backpack it instead of day hiking it. It seemed like all the backpackers were having more fun than the day hikers because they were able to take their time, bring extra gear, and just camp and have a party. And all the day hikers were just focused on making it by the end of the day, just not taking in the sights. We just had to get to the summit before this time and back before this time. The backpackers really knew what was up. And so I think I would enjoy the experience a lot more if I was able to take it all in. You know, Mount Whitney is a hike that people dream their entire lives of doing. We met people from Japan, we met people from all over Europe who were doing this hike while we were doing it. How lucky are we to make it to this trail? Why are we trying to rush it? So if I were to do it again, I would absolutely backpack it and just be there as long as I could. So Mount Whitney is a very doable hike if you are a trained, prepared hiker and backpacker. This is something that I think as long as you get there a couple days early, acclimate, do maybe a practice hike around 10,000 feet, kind of get your lungs and body and spirit all ready for the hike ahead. I think it is very doable, but making these small tweaks to your game plan will really make you thrive on hike day.